Good morning, Year 4. It's Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday's Maths. I hope you have been having a nice time, enjoying the sunshine we've been having. Isn't it lovely? I miss you very much, but I'm very excited to do some more decimal learning with you, and I hope you're feeling the same. We've got a good one today. It's going to be comparing decimal numbers, and to compare in maths, we know this means to compare the value of two numbers, and we're going to be using our inequality symbols, and you've seen these a lot of times before. You're very familiar with these from our previous maths learning, so I'm not going to go into too much detail explaining those. We call them greater than, less than, and equal to, and we're going to use them today to compare decimal numbers with each other. So we're going to see some numbers on the sheet which are going to be represented in a place value chart, just like this, always in a pair because we're comparing, and others which aren't in a place value chart, which are just written down. And remember, if the number isn't represented in a place value chart and you want it to be, just make one and put it in. Always do that. It's a very valuable thing to do, and don't think that you can't do it just because it's not written there on the sheet. It's up to you when you use that. You're going to take some responsibility for your maths learning and choose the representation that works for you. And you'll notice today I've gone for slightly different column headings. We've got them in words this time instead of fractions, because both of those are right, and I want us to get used to using different both ways. So this time we've got ones, tenths and hundredths, and I'm practicing. Every time I make that, I'm practicing writing those words and getting the spelling right. Also, do you know what I did? I had a good time drawing this place value chart because it helped me with practice my times tables. So can you see, when you're drawing it out, I said to myself, I've got 3 columns that I need to account for. And I started drawing my line, and I drew a line of 20 centimetres long. And then you can probably guess what I said to myself. Is this really the right number to use? Because 20 isn't easily divisible by 3. So I had some fun. I changed it to, can you guess what I changed it to? Nearby to 20 that's easily divisible by 3. And maybe you've got it. I changed it to 21. And then I knew that 21 divided by 3 is 7. So each column had a length of 7. So I had some fun doing that, and you can practice your measuring. So I would really advise that you start drawing your charts, and then you can have fun just like me. All right, so we're going to compare these two numbers. We've got 0.41 and 0.29. They're both decimal numbers. We can see that they've both got tenths and hundredths in them, and neither of them has a value in the ones column. So that already starts to tell us, give us a little clue about what kind of number that we're going to see. And the question is, which one is greater? If you're feeling stuck, all you've got to do is think about which representation is going to help me. How am I going to help myself to really understand the value of these two numbers so that I can compare them? So, for example, here's my representation of 0.41. We've done this a lot now, we're very familiar with it. So if I wasn't quite sure when I looked at this what the value of each digit is, as soon as I do this, I'll be really sure. I can see that there is 4 tenths, and we know that each row represents a tenth, and 1/100th. And now, if I represent 0.29 in the same way, I can clearly see that 0.29 is smaller because it's taking up less of my whole. So then I can put my inequality symbol into the correct space, and I'm going to read it through left to right so we can do that. 0.41 is greater than 0.29. And eventually we want to be getting to the point where we don't need this grid anymore, because in our minds there's a really clear picture of the value of all of these numbers. So it's almost like all of our practice using this grid, in the end we can take it away because we've moved the grid into our minds. So when I look at these two numbers, I can say that I know 0.41 is greater than 0.29, and I don't have to make that grid anymore because I can imagine how many tenths and how many hundredths there will be in my mind, just like that. And you'll be able to get to exactly the same point if you carry on practicing. And while you're playing around with these questions, I want you to see if you can work out the answer to this question. And if you can, I want you to email it to your teacher. So the question is, which column, this one, or this one, should we look at first when we're trying to find out which of these numbers is greater and why? If I had my signs here now, I'd been holding up the explain it sign, which you've seen a lot of times before. Explain it. Why is that? Which one should we look at first? Do we look at the ones first? Do we look at the tenths first? Or do we look at the hundredths first? Which one is the one that will give us the first bit of information we need? And which one do we look at second? Which is the second most important column for finding out which number is greater. And if you can work out that by thinking really hard about the value of each digit, then you will be able to do this with any decimal number. All right, thank you so much here for good luck with this, and I will see you tomorrow.